Concerns about a new COVID variant rattling markets and triggering new travel bans around the world. They don't know if it's more contagious than Delta. They don't know if it causes more severe disease. And they don't know how it stacks up against our vaccines. Still, the White House says it's taking action out of an abundance of caution. The United States will restrict travel from South Africa and 7 other countries in the region starting Monday.
We don't know a lot about the variant except that it is a great concern. It seems to spread rapidly, and I spent about a half hour this morning with my COVID team led by Dr. Fauci, and so that was the decision we made.
The new variant also spooking Wall Street. Take a look at the Dow plummeting more than 900 points today. It's its worst day of the year.
But it raised red flags in South Africa so quickly for a couple reasons. First, how fast it's taken off. Researchers there showed this graphic in a health department presentation yesterday. It shows the prevalence of different variants. Now, the red is the Delta variant, which was associated with the country's terrible third wave of infection. In the blue, all the way to the right, is the variant now known as Omicron, appearing to gain ground against Delta very quickly. Now, there are several caveats to this, though. One being that cases had come down quite a bit from the Delta wave, so it's not clear if and to what degree Omicron is outcompeting Delta. Cases now in the country are just starting to surge higher, and what authorities are concerned will become the nation's 4th wave. Now, the other major concerning feature of this variant is that it contains more than 30 mutations in the spike protein, and some are known to potentially evade immune protections, either from vaccination or prior infection. There are a few pieces of good news, though. One is that the variant can be tracked using PCR testing because of a marker in the way the results show up. So that'll help with monitoring its spread. And 2 is how quickly vaccine makers are responding. Pfizer and BioNTech and Moderna say they could have new batches of vaccine ready within about 3 months.
Belgian health officials have confirmed the first case of the B11529 COVID-19 variant in Europe. The sample was taken from a traveller returning from Egypt on November 11th, who later then tested positive. The WHO has recommended against implementing travel restrictions, but the EU is advising member states to put an emergency brake on journeys from affected regions.
It is now important that all of us in Europe act very swiftly, decisively and united. The European Commission has today proposed to Member States to activate the emergency brake on travel from countries in southern Africa and other countries affected to limit the spread of the new variant. All air travel to these countries should be suspended. They should be suspended until we have a clear understanding about the danger posed by this new variant.
Unfortunately, discotheques and dance halls will have to close their doors again. And I fully understand that this is a harsh message after the solution that we thought we had found last week.
The worst case scenario, he said it's not even COVID-19 anymore, but rather COVID-21, because it's 3 times more infectious and 3 times more dangerous than COVID-19 ever was. As well, about the case of the young woman who was in Egypt 2 weeks ago on holidays is the variant was only detected on the 22nd of November, which means the variant is already probably spreading like wildfire here in Belgium. But according to Mark Van Rans, he said today that he was pleased to see this reaction coming today from the European Commission and from EU member states suspending flights to South Africa and making sure that all those coming in would very much have to go into quarantine. He said that policymakers have very much learnt a lesson from the pandemic, and he hoped
scientists fear could pose an increased risk of reinfection and current vaccines may be less effective.
The WHO had advised against travel bans, stressing instead that the measures we're all so familiar with, hand hygiene, masks and social distancing, are more important than ever.
What's really important as an individual is to lower your exposure. The measures, these proven public health measures, have never been more important. Distancing, wearing of a mask, making sure that it's over your nose and mouth.
The WHO has described Omicron as a variant of concern. It's the most mutated version of the virus yet, scientists identifying 50 mutations overall. More than 30 are on the spike protein, the target of most vaccines. And on the part of the virus that makes first contact with our body's cells, there are 10 mutations compared to just 2 for the Delta variant.
We do not know whether prior infection and prior vaccination will protect from severe disease, such as hospitalisation. We don't yet know whether the increased cases that they're seeing in South Africa will stabilise over time.
In the Netherlands, fresh restrictions will come into force tomorrow. Fresh restrictions will come into force tomorrow. Venues such as bars, cafes, museums and cinemas will have to close from 5 p.m.
And they don't know how it stacks up against our vaccines. And they don't know how it stacks up against our vaccines. Take a look at the Dow plummeting more than 900 points today. Take a look at the Dow plummeting more than 900 points today.
The variant now known as Omicron appearing to gain ground against Delta very quickly. The variant now known as Omicron appearing to gain ground against Delta very quickly. And some are known to potentially evade immune protections.
But until we have a clear understanding about the danger posed by this new variant,
In the Netherlands, fresh restrictions will come into force tomorrow.
구독과 좋아요 눌러주세요.